Thanks for being here. It's been a long day for all of you, so really thank you for that. Without taking a lot of introduction or any other further delay, I'll talk today about how the infrastructure is evolving and how we could have better management for business agility. Let me start the discussion in pretty much same line what we have been hearing since the morning. Despite whichever industry that you belongs, we all need a very strong competitive advantage, right? And to sustain that, our competition is changing in very different manner. Let's take a simple example. Let's start with Kodak. They have seen the standalone photography or standalone camera devices transform from normal device to all embedded device that we carry every day pretty much, right? With that, we have all web native players like Chatbooks, Shutterfly. Those organizations are dealing with customers so differently who need the photography and images to be dealt with, right? You heard Salil from IDC talk about all the business using technology in an extent they all wanted to be called them as a technology organization, right? If I little take it ahead, all organizations using softwares in a manner they are perceived to be a software company. Let's take an example, a bank, right? Bank of America. They just not do the normal banking transaction that every other bank does, right? But they do very massive complex digital transformation and digital transaction in global network with a very, very strong security enforcement. ExxonMobil, they deal in oil and gas, right? They use geographic information system or GIS with the big data solution in such extent they store the data, capture the data, massage the data, monitor the data, predict the data, and finally present the geospatial data that gives the competitive business advantage. And this is pretty much true for all of the other businesses, right? This is not only your competition is changing, it is not only you need the very, very consistent competitive advantage. It is also what we have been hearing pretty much same line, the disruptive business model. 10 years back, if you would have asked FedEx that who is their closest competition, right? You would have guessed a very simple name like UPS, DHL. But today, all these three organizations get a massive business challenges from organizations like Amazon, Walmart, Uber, because these organizations have reached in a very different manner to dealing with customers, their customers, and delivers the goods so that logistics and transportation taken in a very different manner. So outside context are changing, you need a competitive advantage. To accommodate that, your organization is also doing a lot of changes. So you, when I say you, I am mostly referring the IT organization. You are in tremendous pressure, right? To transform their business into digital business, right? Or the transform into digital transformation. No other than information technology could be a better catalyst to achieve that, right? So all IT organizations looking at having better security, having better TCO, getting costs down, do more with less, all we hear, right? You wanted to achieve a very nice customer experience so that you get a customer delight. Not only that, the IT organization really looking because the business and the application owner are looking from them to behave like a public cloud organization, right? While you deal with these external challenges, right, you also get a lot of friendly advices from various organizations like the industry peers that you deal with, the vendors that you deal with, the organization like Gartner, IDC, the analysts, right? And you all hear in the line that a lot of friendly advices like cloud, big data, DevOps, platform as a service, container, IoT, right? So these are all friendly advice that you get, right? But you got to realize a couple of things which are true. One, the first thing, there is not single box that could deliver this functionality, right? You probably cannot ask, I need platform as a service, I need cloud, I need big data, give me in a box, right? By the way, if the vendor is saying you so, you got to be a little careful. Second piece of the information is really true is that it's not something that you could do overnight. It is not about you get a product, you get a service, and tomorrow onwards you start doing the agile development or develop in the DevOps process, right? That doesn't happen, right? So while you do this, right, we all are living or soon will be living in something Gartner calls as the bimodal world. So in one way, you have a lot of new ways of delivering application using your private cloud, public cloud, where you use technologies like container, microservice-based application architecture. On the other side, you have your physical and in your virtual infrastructure, which is long way to go, right? So Gartner has coined a term called bimodal, wherein, when you see in the right hand side in mode 2, you will have your newer sets of applications getting delivered, where you will look for your scalability and agility over the stability and accuracy, rather than at the one side of the spectrum, and the other side in mode 1, you look for stability and accuracy, right, which is your system of record, your ERP large system, right, which probably in a physical or virtual world, and you want a maximum stability and accuracy than the time to market for those kind of things. Gartner also mentioned by 2017, all IT organization would have this mode of IT spectrum. So you will have kind of a split brain, or the IT organization will have a kind of a split brain, so that you have to manage both the sides, right? So you have a split management, right? While working with a lot of customers, a lot of global organizations, a lot of local organizations as well, what we are hearing and from the IT organization, that they are trying to increase the relevance of IT, right? What does it mean? They wanted to make the IT delivery or infrastructure delivery much faster than moving their delivery from, let's say, from weeks to months to maybe minutes to hours, right? What they're also trying to do is to dealing with a lot of complexities, right? So they're trying to reduce the complexity. Probably they're trying to automate a lot of processes, a lot of stuffs that they are doing, right? So all of these things, first two that you see, the relevance and complexity reduction that we hear from the modern side of the business, right? So what people want to do, accelerate delivery so that you can provision faster, right? You probably could have policy-driven automation to optimize your infrastructure and delivery, right? So once you start doing these things in mode 1, you will have time to do a lot of innovations. And what you would help you to do these things in the other side of the spectrum, which is in the mode 2, will help you to do the scalability, right? Scalability of managing multiple applications without doing a lot of bailout in the physical infrastructure. Probably you will not using too many people to manage your 100 applications, right? So how do we do that? The other side of the piece is the agility, right? How organization can get so that developers and the ops team works together and really inculcate the DevOps processes, right? The other piece, equally important to realize, is that every organization is in different maturity curve. They are in a very different shape, they are in a very different form based on their IT agility and the adoption they could take in, right? Maybe some organization has started doing virtualization, some of them probably done the virtualization a little bit. Someone started doing optimization, started doing integration, automation, right? Maybe few of the guys really is trying to now innovate and scale these things. So it will be kind of a little careful. The organization probably just virtualize, right? Pretty much a lot of market, like including India, has not too many systems virtualized if you look at, right? So one of the market. And just started doing virtualization and ask tomorrow onwards you inculcate your DevOps process and delivers application in platform as a service, probably you got to be a little careful. So everyone has to pretty much do the evolve journey as they move along, right? The good piece is that whatever guidance, answers that we are seeing from various sources, right? One thing is very clear that, and this is the good news, that open source is driving most of the need of application delivery, platform as a service, DevOps, cloud, big data, IoT, container, right? Social devices, right? So you will probably not find a single project that is not associated with the open source, right? So open source is driving this innovation, full stop, right? But at the same time, the other part of the dilemma is that you also have a lot of physical infrastructure, you will also have softwares, middleware, application infrastructure that may be residing in a physical, virtual, a physical cloud or private cloud or public cloud, and coming from multiple providers like IBM, Oracle, Red Hat, Amazon, right? Various other providers, right? So how to bridge these two sides of the gap of mode 1 and mode 2, right? Traditionally, there are two choices. One side of the spectrum talk about the innovation, other side talk about integration, right? So one side, if you look at to innovation, right? Read the below line. The statistics say, one of the surveys says that 76% cloud are built using open source technology, right? So open source will definitely drive these things, but also you have to realize that it also needs a very large engineering investment. I often remember one of the discussion in early Linux days, wherein one of the telecom service provider trying to do Linux as an adoption as a technology, and they are hiring some 10, 20 kernel engineers, right? So we had a very frank discussion with them and trying to understand, and we told them, right, what's the cost that you are maintaining to 20 engineers, right? Are you in the business of providing the telecom services, or are you in the business of maintaining kernel, right? They kind of laugh. And they happily later on find this is not a non-sustainable way, and they standardize on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, right? So that's not their core business, right? You got to realize that. Thing for the innovations and around the open source is that you need open source for the innovation, but you need enterprise open source. So you got to realize that enterprise support is the key. Second part, in theory, probably you will realize that how to do the new innovations, new patches inculcate, right? That is theoretically is good, but it is not so easy that overnight you will write a patch and being accepted in the upstream. It's not that easy. Other piece is this piece of operating system and kernel and associate software. The other piece is that has to work in the underlying foundation, right? You will have your hardware coming from multiple providers. You may have a different network provider. You may have different storage vendor on top of that. You run multiple applications, right? That doesn't come so easily, right? And you also have the benchmark, the performance report, right? So like us, we have been doing these things with Red Hat Enterprise Linux for close to 15 years now, right? The second thing also is not doing it one time, right? You have to have a sustainable model to produce it time by time so that you have a periodic life cycle, right? One of the other discussion that we had with one of the customers, he was worried that a couple of his kernel engineers is about to leave, so they build a product, right? What happened to that thing, right? So these are the areas that you got to be careful about, right? So enterprise open source can probably handle some part of the thing. Other part of the spectrum is around integration, right? You would probably find a vendor that come to you and say, Mr. Customer, here I get a completely verticalized solution that will help to solve your business problem. By the way, it will have a lot of commas before the decimal point, right? It's hugely costed. What you really wanted is innovations, right? Innovations around open source. Even at that very, very high price tag, what you get is a vendor control innovation. Why I say so? They will claim, they probably, in most of the cases, they will base up their softwares around open source, but they will put the trick with the complex management put thing on top of their open source solution, so that it not only make this as a hugely complex, but also it is a very high exit barrier for you guys, right? So it will give you a vendor control innovation, right? How do you bridge this gap? We honestly believe in Red Hat. With Red Hat Cloud Infrastructure, we can balance these things pretty well with what you want is an open access innovation with highly integrated solution, which will help you to reduce the cost, right? Red Hat Cloud Infrastructure get you a choice to choose from a traditional data center virtualization, which is based on Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, to be used from the modern side of the infrastructure, and other one is largely scalable, scale out cloud infrastructure from Red Hat Enterprise OpenStack platform. That couple ups with Satellite, which is a system management tool that not only manages the host, but also the tenant that's running on inside that thing. Also, you heard about Arvind talking about the container management, right? And it brings up Red Hat Cloud Forms that gives a single pane of glass that help you to do all heterogeneous cloud management with all enterprise ready features like chargeback, showback, audit, policy management, and various other things, right? While we integrate these things quite nice and bring it to you, it's not about you may not be using entire thing from Red Hat. So we meet where you are. You may have a different management solution that you may be using. You may have a different alternate virtualization solution that you would be using, but you can pick the technologies from Red Hat Cloud Infrastructure a la carte to meet your business requirement, right? So let's put these things in more perspective, and I'll get into a couple of examples a little later, that how to bridge this gap, right? So this kind of a summarize, right? In the mode side, mode one side, what we are trying to do is IT is trying to improve the relevance. And when I say improving the relevance, is trying to deliver the environment in hours or maybe in minutes from the days or the weeks, right? The second piece, they are trying to reduce the complexity by enforcing a lot of policy-driven automation, right? Now, what Red Hat can help you to do is to improve these things in mode one side and read the statement that Gartner says. Gartner says that when you try to apply the DevOps and the DevOps process and the tool sets, you got to apply those in your existing mode on applications, mode on set landscape, so that by increasing relevancy and reducing complexity, your system admin, your operation team now would have more time so that they can start working with your application team to get into an agile development method, right? And finally, it can also deliver a scalability which would give you a programmatic and scalable application platform towards the platform as a service path, right? Now take this example, right? How do I do it? And putting in the perspective, let's take the first thing, accelerating service delivery, right? So how it happened? A developer get a request to develop some application. For that he need an instance that could be physical, virtual, container, whatever, right? So it goes into service management and put a request, right? Let's take a normal example, our favorite application, let's say marketing application, marketing LOB came to the application team, wanted to develop application. So developer put the request, right? And now it's been picked up by multiple people. Just for simplicity, I put couple of, 3 of them, like virtual infrastructure admin, the system admin, the security ops, right? Now, once the request has been put in, it is important to realize for all of you that there are a lot of back and forth information flow happen. Maybe based on your organization, it may be over the email exchange, maybe just tapping the shoulder, the developers is doing the ops guy, or maybe the sophisticated thing like BMC, Remedy, or ServiceNow, right? Now, the developer is asking for information, and then virtual admin asking that what kind of network do you need? Do you really need 16 GB? Developer will obviously come back say, no, I need 64 GB. You probably end up using 4 GB, a whole bunch of OS management. Then system admin guy asking that what version of Java that you got to install, which version of the catalina.conf file you have to install for the Tomcat. Then finally, the other thing, the security guy comes in the picture, right? That's the most difficult job. And they say that the version of Java that you have configured is not certified in our standard. Now the whole process has to start again, right? I've taken a very progressive example and listed down all of the time that it takes. It comes to about 10 hours, right? In a very highly regulated environment, it goes in few days to few weeks, depending on the organization complexities, right? End of the day, buck stop at operation head. But before that, just understand and realize, even in a progressive environment, 10 hours, just one developer asking one environment takes 10 hours. If there are 100 developers asking 50 different landscapes, please calculate the time. So end of the day, business complain to the application team that you are not flexible enough, probably I will go out to public cloud and get it much faster, and a buck stop at the application, the operation head, right? The information they are getting from the application team that the operation team is not fast enough to deliver the need of the business, right? At the same time, the operation guy also understands the reality, probably not only him, but a lot of other team members of his or her is also spending a lot of sleepless night by doing a lot of configurations manually and a lot of other things, right? How do we handle this problem, right? So we in Red Hat, we can help to work with you to handle the situation in a little controlled and better manner, right? So we are introducing a persona, it's called as a service designer. By the way, this is not a Red Hat term. A lot of emerging analysts and the ITIL process say this is a service designer. So if you have one, more than happy to work with them. Or if you do not, so we can help you to set this persona, right? Now the developer goes and asking for the environment. Now he becomes a arbitrator between all of the operation team, right? The virtual admin team, the operation team, the security ops team. And what he does that captures the requirement, right? And work with all three. And what it does create is something called as a catalog item in the self-service portal, right? In the self-service management, you create a catalog that developer requirement version 1.0, something like that, right? Now, once he catalog this requirement, he create the all necessary automation engine that need to be invoked so that it could be delivered in multiple provider, right? You can deliver it in a private cloud, you can deliver it in public cloud, you can deliver it in a virtualization solution A, virtualization solution B, virtualization solution C, container, anywhere you could deliver these things, right? By the way, it is important to realize you can ask as many environment that you want, right? There is no marginal or incremental cost to add. There is only upfront cost that you have to define that environment once. Once you do that, you go ahead and just ask for that environment again and again. There is absolutely zero cost, right? Let's see how this thing goes. The marketing guy asks for an application, developer asks for these things. Now he puts the same request in service management and asks for an environment. As this all three guys find, this is a catalog item and this is a certified catalog item. This all three guys just do click, 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 right? So all the request is approved. Now the catalog item, it comes to the catalog item, it automates the environment, right? And then finally the developer gets the environment, right? By doing this, but we reduce all the active work time, we can reduce it to 0. This is number one. Number two, which is most important, is that we will also reduce all of the human error, right? You are probably one of the smartest guy, and you are not there, I've been brought in. I don't know your process, right? It's not dependent on people, it is dependent on process, right? So you are reducing all of the human error. And by doing this, in this example, we could reduce up to 95% of the time. What we are seeing, our customers are using this kind of solution. Union Bank, you probably could read in. We have eliminated manual processes and bottleneck, leveraging the automation. Other customer in APAC, GBL, they also have reduced their active queuing time to 0 and almost delivering the infrastructure 95% faster, right? Let's take the second example, right? Which is another challenge for IT organization, right? How they can create and build a public cloud-like services, right? So there are two approaches. One side of the approach, Spectrum says, right, the head of the operation has a choice, right? He has storage, he has compute, he has network, right? He buys maybe more hardware, faster switch, right? Faster storage, better hardware, modern Intel soft hardware, right? So you scale up, right? The question remains how long you will scale up, right? Beyond a point, it doesn't work technically, not economically. It is a financially not viable solution, right? And that's the reason largest cloud in the world doesn't work in the scale up architecture. Take example of Facebook, Google, Amazon, they don't work in scale up architecture because in that scale, it doesn't work technically, number one. Number two, it is not wise to run these things financially. What do you do, right? The second option is scale out, right? Probably could look at organization who probably gives something like OpenStack, or maybe you do it yourself, right? You get some consultant, nice consultant, who set up the OpenStack environment and the scale out architecture for your compute, storage, and network, right? So this goes to the discussion of the innovations, right? So the problem here is this is pretty complex. You got to have a very nice and branded consultant who come and help you to set this up, right? Despite you do that in OpenStack, you probably do not get a lot of cloud management or enterprise features and functionality that people are looking at, like showback, chargeback, policy-driven automations, right? Custom policies and other things like security governance, right? So we in Red Hat believe that Red Hat cloud infrastructure can handle these things. Now the challenge head of operation has is that how he can scale at the control, how we can put security, how we can put the security things in the place, right? How we can see the better utilization report, how we can do the capacity planning or forecasting going forward, right? And all enterprise management cloud feature like showback, chargeback is also a need that head of operation needed, right? With Red Hat cloud infrastructure, what we could help you to do is that we can build a scalable, scale-out architecture with help of OpenStack, and that will be enterprise ready, fully supported with lot of hardware vendors, compute, storage, network, with all of the other application vendors support and functionalities, right? Given an example, let's say it's happening, the operator is doing it in, let's say in Mumbai, and as you grow, you may have multiple data center, you have a high available federated architecture, let's say in Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi, right? This is great, right? But now the challenge becomes the operator now has to go into all other landscape and get the data for the utilization, get the data for the performance, and get the data for the forecasting of the requirement for the future requirement, right? How do we handle? So what we do is that we bring in a consolidated single pane of glass that gives the entire horizon of all utilization so that you can really use these things in much efficient manner, and that also help you with all features like auditing, governance, security, right? Showback, chargeback, and other things, right? Again, by doing this, what organizations are gaining is that they are now using a commodity hardware, so they can reduce the cost, right? You can also get a very highly distributed architecture, right? You can ensure the tenant has a very high uptime because you have very fine grained control and the visibility on the overall system. And you could bring in overall orchestration that give you the agility and flexibility for public cloud like services, right? So we are seeing a lot of organizations are doing it. We have few in India as well, which is about to be made public, but we are more than happy to share you offline. So please find us to get these things, but a lot of organizations are doing it at this point of time. So So what do we do in summary is Red Hat cloud infrastructure is not a rip and replace thing, right? It gives a flexible journey, right? Maybe you have an alternate virtualization. You start with CloudForms to manage that. Maybe you think of Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization as one of the options for second sourcing virtualization. Start using that for Mode 1 infrastructure. And for Mode 2 infrastructure in the cloud infrastructure, you probably could look at Red Hat Cloud, Red Hat OpenStack, right? And this is the only solution that is a combined integrated solution to manage your Mode 1 and Mode 2 infrastructure, give the system management features and functionality using satellite, and also gives the management features for OS management, control, hypervisors, OpenStack, containers, right? This is an over consolidated solution, right? You are future proving the investment, right? Everything is done on open source and Red Hat standby on that thing. The other thing is cost effectiveness, right? We have a lot of tools wherein we can probably prove to you is that how we can beat our closest competition on the costing part, right? What is the next step? Callouts that IT organization has to work with the business organization pretty closely, right? You have to set the goal, what business is carrying, what is their priorities, chalk out your priorities accordingly, set the right KPI, right? Also, don't forget that every organization is different, right? You got to do your reality check, right? What we do in Red Hat, we have a lot of cloud discovery workshop, we have a lot of cloud session, wherein we work with customer like you to understand the maturity and adaptability that you probably can handle, right? set the right priority, or rather set priority, I would say set the right priority. Don't take something crazy, right? All of a sudden you think that, I will run all in Hadoop, running on a container, to be sitting in OpenStack with a software defined network, and you are probably running something in mainframe, right? That doesn't work, right? You have to take an evolved approach and probably start slow, get into x86 world, start doing virtualize, automize, and then get into the DevOps and platform as a service things, right? Take the right success matrix, right? From the business, you take the right success matrix for you, and you also take the success matrix with your partner that you are working. So probably if you are working with Red Hat, take the charter that Red Hat carries, IT department carries, and business carries, right? So work with a trusted partner, because it's more of a partnership and trusted partnership, not a vendor-customer relationship, right? So we are more than happy to work with you for delivering this kind of agile infrastructure and better management, how infrastructure is evolving in this space, right? With this, thank you for your time for that. Thank you very much.